Eyewitness News.
And first up at 6 tonight, we're tracking Henri as we get a look at our iCams high above Hartford, New Haven, New London, and Torrington. You can call this the calm before the storm. It is beautiful out there today, but things will look quite different on Sunday. Thanks for joining us here on Eyewitness News at 6. I'm Kevin Hogan. This storm is expected to be a big one. Eversource is saying hundreds of thousands could be without power for days. Now we've got you covered with all you need to know to keep you safe during the whole storm. And we start with meteorologist Bruce DePriest and Connor Lewis with the latest on the track. Guys?
All right, Kevin, we're going to be hearing from Eversource soon, but for now, let's give you an update on Henri. It became a hurricane today, and it's now located about 500 miles to the south of Montauk Point on the eastern tip of Long Island. It is a hurricane. It's a Category 1 hurricane moving steadily toward the north at 18 miles an hour. It's got winds of 75 miles an hour, so it's a minimal Category 1 hurricane, but nonetheless, it is a hurricane, and this storm is moving rapidly northward, and the timing is a little bit quicker now. It now looks like the storm will be making landfall on Long Island around 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon and then reaching the Connecticut coastline before the afternoon is over. So let's take a close-up look. There it is over eastern Long Island around 2 p.m. and then it slows down as it makes landfall over eastern Connecticut. This is actually a bit of an eastward shift in the storm track, and that's kind of been the trend over the last couple of runs. And what does this mean? It means that eastern Connecticut can expect the worst winds, maybe up to hurricane force, and western Connecticut can expect the most rain. But notice the storm slows down and it will rapidly weaken into a tropical storm as we go through tomorrow night and early Monday morning. So the storm impact is big. This is a bad storm that's coming our way. Heavy rain and flooding. The threat is high. Damaging winds and hundreds of thousands of power outages. That threat is high. In addition to coastal storm surge that could be 3 to 5 feet with waves on top of that. Of course, we got the full harvest moon tomorrow, and that's going to make the situation even worse. And there's always a threat of a tornado or two when a hurricane makes landfall. With the latest on the warnings and all the various hazards we face, here's Connor.
Thank you, Bruce. Yeah, it is nice that we're able to narrow down the forecast as we get closer to Henri's onset for tomorrow. Tropical storm warnings are in effect for inland counties. Hurricane warning in effect for New Haven, Middlesex, and New London County. That's going to be Sunday through Sunday night that we're seeing those conditions of at least 40-mile-per-hour sustained winds and then potentially briefly seeing those hurricane force winds along portions of the Connecticut shoreline. Storm surge warning. So at the least, we're looking at a foot of storm surge along the entire coastline of Connecticut and potentially up to 3 to 5 feet in some of those worst off areas. That's going to be for tomorrow as well. And I'm hearing right, Eversource ready for us? Okay, we're going to head over to Eversource and hearing the latest on potential.
And we are in weather alert mode. This storm is really going to ramp up during the day tomorrow. When you step out the door tomorrow morning, it's going to be windy in parts of the state. It could be raining in parts of the state, but the worst is going to peak in the late morning and afternoon and into the early evening hours. We're talking about flash flooding and heavy rain, rainfall 3 to 6 inches up to 10 inches possible, especially in western portions of the state. More on that coming up. Wind gusts to 75 miles an hour, especially in eastern Connecticut. That's likely going to lead to hundreds of thousands of power outages, and power outages are likely statewide, as you heard from Eversource. Astronomically high tide, what could result in significant storm surge, but I want to talk about that in just a moment. For now, let's talk about the updated weather alerts. A hurricane warning is in effect for New Haven, Middlesex, New London counties. The rest of the state is under a tropical storm warning for tomorrow and into tomorrow night. A flood watch is in effect for the entire state, and high tide is going to occur tomorrow evening from 10:10 tomorrow evening in New London to 12:22 in the morning in Stamford. And if the storm crosses the coast earlier in the day by late afternoon, it may actually hit around the time of low tide instead of high tide in the late evening and early morning hours of Monday. So that might be why the earlier arrival time could at least benefit the shoreline. But this is going to be a high-impact storm no matter how you look at it. There is Henri moving up the coast about 500 miles south of New England. It's forecast across eastern Long Island around 2 p.m., probably hitting Connecticut, most likely spot eastern Connecticut the way it looks now before the afternoon is over, then slowing down, and by Monday 2 a.m. a tropical storm adjust to the north and east of Springfield, and then it will weaken into a remnant low with time. Futurecast shows that we'll have a couple of showers this evening. The leading bands of rain are in the state at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, and this is a fast model. The graph there, you can see heavy rain and gusty winds at 2 p.m. with the eye crossing the coast or the center of eastern Connecticut. Then as we go into tomorrow evening, heavy rain still in parts of the state, and even a lingering circulation with more rain and showers as we go into the day on Monday, as this could potentially slow down. With more on the amount of rain and wind that we could get, here's Connor.
Thank you, Bruce. As we narrow down that forecast, we are looking at very high confidence that western Connecticut is going to get nailed with heavy rainfall. So as that storm takes a track through somewhere in eastern Connecticut on the west side of the eye of the storm, that's where we'll see this access of heavy rainfall, and with that subsequent flash flooding is going to be possible. So Waterbury through this point 7 p.m. on Sunday looking at 3.8 inches of rainfall, while in eastern Connecticut we're looking at those strongest winds, so not necessarily looking at a widespread flash flood potential, but nonetheless there could be too much rain in any one spot to produce some of those low-lying areas to flood, certainly. And then look at what we got going on by this point, 7 a.m. on Monday, 6 inches possible, and it's not out of the question that we could see some areas peaking at 10 inches of rainfall, which of course would result in flash flood potential in those areas, western Connecticut, New London, places on the shoreline, about 2-3 inches of rainfall through this entire storm into Monday morning. Now we start looking at these wind gusts. They could be up to tropical storm force, so those max wind gusts at 8 a.m. around 40 miles per hour. Fast forward to noon on Sunday, we look at some potential max wind gusts up to 50 or 60 miles per hour. With the eye of the storm going through eastern Connecticut, that is where we should see those strongest winds, up to 50 miles per hour in Willimantic, 44 in Tallinn. You can see how, while we're dealing with a flash flooding threat across western Connecticut, the winds are marginally strong enough to cause some power outages, but not quite as destructive as what we have over here, these purple shades, 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts into Sunday afternoon. And you can see that little donut right there, that is the eye of the storm, so there may be a lull as that travels through portions of the state, and then the winds will flip also in a strong direction. So the lull is good, but on either side of the eye, which would be roughly New London through portions of central Connecticut, seeing those very destructive winds. A look at our early warning pinpoint Doppler radar. Right now, we see some isolated showers across southwestern Connecticut. Otherwise, just looking at mostly cloudy skies at the moment. Hartford, 83 degrees, south breeze of 5 miles per hour. And look at that, a nice little calm before the storm. Rainbow in New Haven, 80 degrees at the moment. Just a few slivers of those blue skies. 84 degrees right now in Windsor Locks, Groton 77 degrees. And we are going to take the temperatures down just a notch during the storm. So roughly temperatures just hovering in the 70s during Henri for tomorrow. Looking at the bigger picture, we do see this storm churning through the Atlantic, making its way, reforming that eye, and eventually it will strengthen a little bit, staying at a Category 1 as it approaches Long Island. And then we see that eye, the center of the tropical storm, pushing its way onshore. 2 p.m. those strongest winds and heavy rainfall Sunday afternoon. Isolated tornadoes, a possible threat with Henri as it makes landfall. 74 degrees for that overnight low in Hartford, and we'll see those high temperatures just under 80 degrees for tomorrow. Look down the road, we're going to look at temperatures that aren't too bad. Still looking at residual flash flooding risk on Monday. Temperatures not too bad, but then we look at a potential heat wave Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, additional rain chances this upcoming Thursday and Friday. Kevin?
Thank you, Connor, and thank you, Bruce.